Hello and welcome to Arts and Wellness Cafe. I am so glad you could join me, and my name is Amanda, your host for today and for every day that you come and join me. So how have you been? Take a breath. Let's think about that. What have you been doing? So I have got a packed program for you today, and so we're just going to get started. I've got a packed program for you because there's so many things that I want to share with you and show you, but in terms of sticking to the format and being able to be free within that, that's what we're going to do. So what I've started to do, for those of you who are just new, and you may have seen some of the other series, the other episodes, this is the second week, I think, or the third week of it being a bit more, there's a bit more structure to it, and it means that I not only get more things in, because I found it to be a really useful tool in terms of talking and sharing thoughts and helping to process thoughts, but there's things that I want really to share with you. And so if I have a structure, then I know that within that structure I can do all the sharing that I want. So I'm still kind of working through how it kind of flows, so just bear with me, stick with me, and we're all on this ride together. Because initially it started out actually in that you come into my space. If you were to come into my space, we'd sit down and have a chat with a drink, and I've left my drink next door, look at that. Anyway, not to worry, I was going to make myself a cup of tea. Although I'm going to be going out after this and going somewhere where I can have a freshly brewed cup of coffee. Now, I do like good coffee. I'm not a coffee connoisseur by any means, but I know it when I taste a good cup of coffee. So I do appreciate a good cup of coffee. And this place also does homemade cheesecake, so I'm going to indulge a little bit today, and this is all part of what the word for today is, or it has been for the whole week, is stillness. And I'll leave the link for the Monday's Creating in Faith, which kicked it all off, and kicked off the idea of the word stillness and taking time out and stopping and recognizing that you need to do it. It's not just something you do from time to time, but it's something that you need to do on a regular basis, if not daily. And you have to decide for yourself when that time will be. It might be the first thing in the morning when you get up. You just take time to just take stock. And now for me, it's when I enter into my studio, I have this candle burner here. So I like the candle burner, and it's usually got this particular wax. I was doing something else with it. I was doing some projects which you'll see, and which I've shared on Instagram. But you'll see the projects. But I've got this candle that was a gift. It's, oh gosh, it's so beautiful. It's got a beautiful smell. So the candle, imagine the candle was in this. It burnt out, so there was no wick, and all that was left was the wax. Now the wax is highly scented. So what I now do is take a bit of the wax, so I might take a bit like that, and I just pop it in on top of the oil burner, so that when I light it now, you get the aromas of the wax. And it lasts for about, if I'm lighting it on a daily basis, it lasts for about a week, but it's got a really lovely smell. So that's one of my routines. I like that. And then I've got some smudge sticks that are made from what I know to be called black sage. what I've been told it's called here, but somebody on my Creative Gardener left a comment and said they didn't think it was black sage, but it smells like it's part of the sage family when you burn it. So yeah, so I light my candle like that, and I take a moment, and then I ask myself what I want to do. I see what I feel like doing next, not the what's on the list, but what do you feel like doing next? And usually that's playing with some sort of supply, and that's how a lot of my experimentation, how a lot of it feeds into then larger projects, because I've played with, and you'll see it again, you'll see it, I've played with fabric and created fabric that has been, you know, dyed and waxed and dyed and patterned, and then this then goes and sits in the pile of waiting to be used. And like this particular one, so we're actually here now in terms of, so this particular one, I had, it's been dyed. These bits actually are where the wax sits, and then it's dipped in dye, and then the wax is heat set off. And then what I did was start to stitch on it, just to see what kind of patterns I could create with the thread, but around the areas, if you can see, where the wax has kind of left a residue. So just stitching around those areas. Again, just playing and experimenting. And as I say, I think if you give yourself room to do that, then you'll be surprised at how many other ideas and things that you then go on to work with or work on. And so the idea of stillness in your creative practice, for some they might think, well, what does that look like? You know, I just don't have time because there's just so many things to do. And especially because I've said, when we look at the word each week, and that's the other thing, I was thinking to myself, you know, do we need to spend a bit more time on each of the words? Should we do it a month or even every 2 weeks? I'm not sure, but does doing it on a week to week basis give you enough time to kind of dive in? We'll see. But in your creative practice, you have to have a way in which you will address that being still and focus. And focus is different from focusing on a piece of work that you've got to get done, but focusing on being still, giving yourself room and time. And whether it is, like for me, it's 10 minutes, that initial, you know, you come in, I sit down, put my tea down, get the candle, decide whether, you know, I want to put some oils in there or I want to use the scented candle, and light that, and then get the smudge stick, which I've harvested from the garden, the plant in the garden. And I was wondering whether if I dried rosemary and lemongrass, how that would actually, when you burn the leaves, what kind of aromas you would get. Would you get it in the same way as you do the sage? And so that is my little, you know, and it is only, that particular part of it is like 5-10 minutes. 5 minutes max, really. And then that kind of sets me down that then sets me down the path. Anyway, yeah, so that sets me off to then go down the experimental stage, and then, okay, you've got to reel yourself back in now and get on with some work. So stillness, that idea of stillness, being still, being quiet, being calm, is really important. And so one of the first things I want to do is take you on a little journey, say, but this is an exercise that you can do anytime. You can do it wherever you are. You just think about, you can have the words recorded. It's just a simple kind of taking you on a journey, and so yeah, you can do it anytime, any place, anywhere. Take yourself on this journey, quieten your mind, stay there and feel what it's like to be there, and then bring yourself back and then see how you feel. Okay, so what I want you to do, so we're just going to get ourselves comfortable, and what I want you to do, however you're sitting, I want you to sit with both feet planted on the ground, and you could have your arms, say, in your lap or on the side of your chair. Okay, so let's begin. So I want you to start to feel yourself in the chair. I want you to feel the way that your arms feel. Are they leaning on your chair? Are they in your lap? Are your hands clasped together in any way? Can you feel all your fingers on your hands as they clasp each other? What about the feeling of your arm on the chair? Is it lightly placed on the chair, or can you feel a pressure of where your arm meets the chair? Think about how your back feels right now. What is your back leaning against? Is it leaning against a cushion? Does that cushion feel supportive? What areas of your back can you feel that cushion in? Go down. As you sit on the chair, can you feel where your legs, the top of your legs, your calves, the top of your legs, your thighs meet the rim of the chair? Your calves. Can you feel any pulling or strain as your feet are firmly planted on the floor? How do your feet feel? Does all of your feet touch the floor? Or your toes, the ball of your feet, and your heel? Do you feel comfortable when you think about sitting in this chair? Do you feel relaxed? Do you feel rested? Go to different parts of your body. Think about any stresses or aches or tightness that may be there, and just sit in that feeling for a moment. So if you feel a tightness in your shoulders or your back, go to that spot on your body and just sit with it. Just allow it to be recognized. Then I want you to take yourself to one of the most favorite places you like to be. A place that's peaceful and calming. What does this place look like? Can you see yourself? It's almost as if you open a door, and on the other side of this door is this peaceful place that you feel relaxed, chilled, supported. And as you open the door, you see it and you step into it. And your whole body immediately feels that love, that peace, that quietness. Feels calm. And just stay there and breathe in and breathe out. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. Listen to the sounds that you can hear. What are the colours like that you can see? How vivid, how bright are they? How does your body feel in this space? Now I want you to make your way back to the door. And you're going to open the door and come back to where you are now. And you're going to feel the weight of your legs on the floor, on the chair, your arms, your hands. And then you're going to open your eyes. And there you are. So that's a little, I mean, that's like more than 5 minutes, but you can do the shortened version, or you can do, you know, you can stay in this place for a bit longer depending on how long you have. And you can, you know, do that anywhere that you are. Take yourself to this peaceful place, especially in environments that can be quite stressful. You know, take yourself to that peaceful place and just spend time there. And I used to do that when I was, I did it a lot when I was caring for my mum. My mum is living with dementia, and I found, you know, sometimes you just need like 5 minutes, and that 5 minutes was like, you know, a little mini holiday, a little kind of, it magnified itself into more than just, it felt like it was more than just 5 minutes. And so it's a really, when you get kind of practiced at it, you can really, you get more from it the more that you do it. And so it's something that I encourage you to do. So that was just like, you know, a quick thing that you can do. And yeah, I find it really relaxing. So the word for this week is stillness, and the words for the month is voice and imagination. Yeah, voice and imagination. And so when we take those words, and we bring them together now, stillness, voice and imagination. Now we've had to use our imagination to get to that stillness. I've used my voice to help you get to that stillness, but then you're going to take your own voice. You may do your own recording, and or you can use mine. I'll probably do another one and share that, but you're good to go either way. So voice and imagination. Now another place where you can, and I do this quite a lot, is use my art journal. So I find using an art journal is a place that I can feel my voice can be heard, for want of a better word, and I use it to express the things that I can't necessarily express verbally. And so the other I use a lot of colour, a lot of imagery, and this is my restoration journal, so you may have seen this before. I've shared it before. And one of the things that I was doing, because I've been making clay, paper clay, sculptures, and again mixed media sculptures, and I wanted to not only create a physical sculpture, but then I wanted to look and see, well, if I created a painting of that sculpture, what would that be like? So I had been playing, I mean, this is not one, but I'll talk about this one as well. So this is one of the sculptures I did, and I wanted, to see what stories, because I know that each piece that I create, there is a story that will come from it, and so it's identifying the story, and it isn't until you kind of dive into it that you can see the story emerging. So one of the other things that I do is I write and create in the journals, and sometimes I will create the image and then do the journaling afterwards. And so it's something that is an ongoing process. The journals are there, I work on them, and then I go back and I am inspired by a page, and I then work on it. And you may be able to hear some music next door. That's my son. And let me see, let me call him actually, because he's literally on the other side of this, he's literally on the other side of the wall and playing his music really loud. So what I need to do is, hold on, sorry, I'll probably cut this bit out anyway. I'll try and cut this bit out. See if he answers the phone. Can you turn the thing down? I'm trying to record. Well, I am, but everybody can hear you. Hear the music. Can you turn it down a bit, please? Thank you very much. Goodbye. Let's see. Anyway, so using your journal again to find stillness. But as I say, I do other things within it, so it helps me create. It helps me create, and it helps me to identify what these. Okay. So yeah, it helps me to create, it helps me to work through things, and also create imagery and use it in the journaling process. And some of these are pages that I, like this particular one, I would have gone in, I would have painted the page, then I went in with doodling, and then I went in and did journaling in it. So your art journal is a place, one of those places that you can find stillness, and you can find ways in which to come to a place of understanding about yourself. I think that it's in that stillness that we learn more about ourselves, that we grow. It's just like the way that, you know, when you plant a seed, you plant it, for those who are not gardeners, you plant it in the soil and you cover it up, so it's sitting there in the dark until it's time to germinate. So I'm getting it from both sides. The dogs around here don't like the sound of motorbikes, and the postman has a hard time because he rides his motorbike. Cole! 3, 2, 1, back in the room. Anyway, So let's get on. But yeah, so your art journal, there's an exercise there. You can spend time in your art journal, and I really want to say next week I'm going to this week I'll show you an art journal page process. As I say, I'm kind of working through these things as from a week to week basis, but that's the whole joy of growth and, you know, developing things, growth and innovation. So I want to share with you now. Ooh, yeah, buddy. This is, I've literally had this for many years. I brought this years ago, but didn't know that I was going to be doing a lot more with fabrics, and I never knew. But I held on to it, and what it is it was put together by a guy that works at Christopher Spring works at the British Museum, I think it is. Does he work at the British Museum? He works at one of them anyway. And Museum of Mankind. He's a curator of the African collection, Museum of the Mankind, the ethnography department of the British Museum in London. I'm not sure whether he's there still. This was 1989. So he's put this together, and it's all the fabrics that the British Museum has acquired over the years, and it literally shows you the fabrics, and also on the back tells you where the fabric was from, you know, how it was made, the group who made it, and so it goes through. There's like 40 different plates. So I've done a review, and I'm going to show you that next, and it's definitely well worth having it in your collection. For me, it's well worth having it in my collection, because I'm starting to go back over these things and thinking, oh wow, you know, seeing the patterns that have been created, the way that the fabrics have been created, and I've been interested in how you create mud cloths. I know that there's specific techniques, but I've been playing about, segue now, playing about with fabric. So after the review, I'll show you some of the fabric. So here we have African Textiles. It was brought together by Christopher Spring, and it is a selection of 44 colour plates, and it was originally produced in 1989, so it is quite old, but you can still get this book. It's a selection of colour plates and posters that are within of cloths and African textiles, sorry, that are within the British Museum and the Museum of Mankind. So there are many more in the series, so I'll go through. And the good thing about this book is that they do allow you to, if you want to reproduce, you can produce 10 posters at one time. So what it is a selection of textiles in Africa, and it goes through the variety of different African countries, Northwest and Southern Africa, East Africa, and it shows you the textiles that for that particular region, the textiles and how they would be produced. And on the back of the plate it tells you, like this particular one was cloth woven from machine spun cotton on an upright single-headed heddle loom in Akwete, a village in southern Igbo land, southeastern Nigeria. and it gives you a little bit about the tradition and who would traditionally have woven this. And it is a lovely collection of textiles produced in Africa. A lot of the ones that you may see, you may not see as intricate as these, so it's always lovely to be able to see traditional textiles and see all the colour in them. And you can, if you do pay a visit to England, London, you may be able to see these in the museum itself up close. And obviously these are quite delicate, so they would be, you know, under special lighting. But it's a great, it's a lovely resource, and all of these have been given by the pictures have been given by the British Museum. So you see a lot of the textiles that have been appropriated, taken over time, that you that you get to see. There's some lovely cloths, and as an artist it does, you know, I look at them and it's amazing to see, you know, textiles from Ghana, Mali, Bamana of Mali. It's amazing to see so many beautiful, and the techniques that are used. And these would be, you know, woven, not hand woven, not done by machine, not industrialized. And look at this one. Silk textile from Algeria, woven in a single strip by male urban Arab weavers in the early 1900s. So what this is saying is they would have been woven in strips and then pieced together, as with a lot of the way that a lot of textiles are put together. So this is, it's quite an oversized book, and but that gives you then a better view, an impression of the beauty of these textiles. So I definitely think it's one that's well worth, even as a textile artist, fabric artist, to have in your collection. Some beautiful textiles, and again, looking at the textiles, you'll be able to learn a bit about traditionally where these were made, who made them, how they were made, and you get a good clear idea of the intricacies of the work that goes into making these. It's gorgeous. Okay, so I hope that was useful, and so I had brought some clay last year, and one of the main things that I'm going to do with it is make like little I just want to make little clay pots. I'm not going to, you know, make bowls or anything like that, but I'm never going to say never, because I was never really going to get into fabric or weaving or, you know, spinning or embroidery, stitching. I was never going to get into any of that. but here I am now, so I never say never. But I had you know, making some little small clay things, but I do love clay, and I love working with clay. And so yeah, I love the clay, and what I wanted to do was work with clay and fabric. I wanted to see how you could use the clay on fabric, and so that's what I've been doing with these pieces. So I've done that, and this is another small. I was making some bowls actually, so I haven't yet. I was going to dip these in some sort of dye and see how they get on. But here's one I did earlier. Here's one I did. So I painted it with the fabric. Sorry, I painted it with the fabric. How did you do that then? So I painted it with the clay. Then I, in the spaces, added wax. I dipped it in a dye, and what you've got is there's, I don't know whether you can see, there's some brown bits, and where those brown bits are is the clay. So I've washed it out, but I really wanted to see more of the clay, so I've got to just perfect it. So that was one of the things that I was doing, and I'm playing about with it and seeing how I get on, and I might add stitching to it, we'll see. But yeah, I'm really pleased with it. It's kind of faded in part, but that's fine. But if you add, oh my gosh, yes. As I talk about the stitching, I'm thinking, yeah, I want to see stitching on here. Yeah. Anyway, some embroidery, some patterning, and especially down here where it's a lot darker, you can't see the spaces where the wax stayed. It didn't stay very long there, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. So that's me. That's me for today. I'm still doing my 100 embroidery stitches, and let me show you one of the other things I did. I started playing with faces. I've never done faces in stitch before, so I thought, okay, let me try that. So I'm pleased with that, and yeah, I want to just do more. It's just like there's never enough time in the day. But I hope that has been useful, and I'm so glad you could come and visit. So think about the word, think about how it relates to your creativity and how you can incorporate that into your day-to-day. Think about the exercise that we just did, and think about how how you can use that on a regular basis, because that might be the thing that you use. Think about the resources. Now, there may be resources that you have that you never thought that you would use, that is just sitting there. So maybe it's time to kind of look at your bookshelf and say and think about some of the things that you have, because some of them can tie together. Like, you know, I brought this. I was interested in African fabrics, but not to the extent I'm interested in now, in terms of how they're woven, how they're dyed, how they're stitched, and what we can say through our, through the fabrics that we use, traditional fabrics and traditional methods that have been used to create them. So it's quite exciting. It's quite exciting. Anyway, so I'm going to leave it there for now, and I will see you soon. I love your comments, and I love to have you join me. So take care for now, and I'll see you soon.